And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, I'm Tom Vasel. Today we're taking a look at a pretty big game here from Starling Games called Archmage. In this game, you're a mage, but you want to be the biggest and the best. So you're running around and learning from the local people, sending your followers out all over the place to collect different resources for you so you can learn big bad spells and become the Archmage. Of course, along the way you kill some of your opponent's followers. This is definitely like an area control style game, but it uses an interesting color wheel. So when you take a look at this, ooh, that looks interesting, right? You're using the different color magics to combine and make more powerful magic. Here's how it plays. Depending on the number of players, you're going to have a board that's made up of different hexes. Some are wilderness hexes, and there's camps and towns that are placed out here, with this central hex placed out in the middle. Players are going to be using their wizard and moving around the board each turn. You'll have a few things that you'll do, but one of them is spending 5 action points to move. You can't move into someone else's tower if it's on the board, and you can't move into somebody else's mage. But you can move for an action point. You can reveal a hex for an action point, and when you reveal a hex, many times it's going to give you some sort of bonus for revealing that hex. So you'll move around the board. As you're moving around the board, once you reveal hexes, you'll also be able to drop off followers that you have. Players will start with 15 followers, although they can get more. And in fact, if someone else moves in there later on, they can spend an action to get rid of one of your followers and drop these guys in. Although you can also put wards in that, make the person spend an extra action to get rid of these wards before getting rid of your guys. But controlling the different types of terrain that are on the board is going to allow you to, one of the ways to get victory points in this game. You also have a chance to build a tower, which will give you a chance to promote your magicians and your followers as the game goes by. So while each player has a color board here, here's the colors, but this is the magic board. And as the game goes by, different actions are going to allow you to spend different items from these 6 different things. We got blood, nature, matter, time, will, and death, or orange, purple, yellow, green, red, and black. You have these planets here. You'll be moving these in each round of the game. You can pick which one you want to move where, which will give you more of these, and moving your magician around on the board will give you more objects from these different items. Now, why do you want all this? It's because each player gets their own set of magic cards. And so each of these magic cards, for example, if I want to cast Entangling Vines here, I need to look and see what color I need to do this. This one, I need nature to do it. So various places on the board will allow you to spend 2 of a certain kind to train an apprentice in that. I could spend multiples if I want to. And once I do, in front of me I have this board here. I'm going to put any spell that I've learned. So in this case, I have learned the green spell here, Entangling Vines, which I can cast on my turn. I've learned the Subjugate spell here, which is the red spell. And then I have the Death spell, which is Corrupt. But I'm also able to basically have these 2 guys duel it out. So maybe red and black will duel it out. One gets taken out, and the other one gets put here in between red and black. Well, now as I look through here, I can look at my spells, and here's the red and black combo spell, which is Corrosion. And then maybe later on, I get one here in yellow, and another one in red. Red and green fight, so now I put one here. Now I have these 2 fight, and so they go here, and that's the combination of red, green, and black. So I'll go through here. Here's the red, green, and black spell, which is Obliterate. So all these different spells I'm going to be able to cast. Having spells available to cast is going to get me points over the course of the game. So the more spells you have, the more points you have. But you'll notice now that I have a guy here, I no longer have access to these spells. I no longer have access to these. Right now I have the yellow spell, the green spell, and the green, red, black spell. So you'll need to put more of these out as the game goes by to get more spells, and maybe I'll put these back out. Now I have the black, the orange, the black-orange, the red, green, black, so on and so forth. So that's kind of how this wheel works. You only have so many turns over the course of the game. You will not be able to get every magic spell, so you're going to have to decide which of these spells to get. These spells are going to do different things. So for example, this time stop here, the purple spell, lets me take the action of the location your mage is in. Neither this action nor your journey's end can be used to gather in a town. So it gives you an extra action on your turn. While maybe the big spell here, automation here, this is a green and purple spell, and looks like green, purple, yellow spell. Take one of your followers from any runes location on the map and place it in any fundamental spell area in your tower board. If this area was previously occupied, and immediately update your spell book to include this spell. So that lets me pull somebody off the board and into my spell book, which will give me another spell. So these you can cast each turn of the game, but they're also going to be worth victory points, 1, 2, and 4, depending on how powerful the spell is. So this is going to continue on. As you can see, the board can start getting more explored. Players are going to be taking those 5 actions and then action points, and at the end of your turn, where your magician is, you get an action. If they're at a tower, you might be able to upgrade your spell book like I was just showing you. If you end in different spots, you might be able to recruit more followers, because your followers are going to get killed and sent back to the reserve pile and you need to pull them back. You can gather resources, adding more resources to your board so you can cast your spells, because a lot of spells are going to be needing those. So there's a lot of different things that players can be doing on their turn, casting them, and then depending on where you end, you might get more followers. If you go to a camp, you know, you're going to decide that. So you have some updating things you do at the beginning, updating your spell book, moving a planet, spending the 5 movement points to do various things, attack other people, and then take the action of where you end on your turn. Once everyone has done this a certain number of times equal to the round of the game, you're then going to get victory points. I've already shown you that for your spells, you're going to get 1, 2, or 4 victory points. Controlling more locations of a certain type, like for example, ruins, controlling more runes than anybody else, is going to get you 2 victory points. And you add all these victory points together, and whoever has the most becomes the new Archmage and the winner of the game. There's a lot of pieces in this game. I really like this mage board here. It looks really cool, the color wheel. Now granted, if you're colorblind, this might be a tough wheel to deal with, although they do have, for example, in the spells, you can see that there's different symbols there, but still, there's a lot of color going on. This board, a recess board, is cool, although there's a little bit of bending, and this one's a little harder to straighten out. I'm not sure that I have a lot of the Kickstarter stuff for this one. Like this tower here is just in the middle, who cares? This board itself technically doesn't need to be here. You could just put the tiles out, but the board certainly helps figuring out where they go. And like the game comes with these glyphs, one of the actions you can put out to make people stop, and then this is the upgraded one. The components are really nice. I really like especially these. Everything looks good. Sometimes that niceness works against the game though. These cards, for example, really hard to read because they have a shine on them. It's actually a little easier to read them through the camera than it is to see them in person. And if you have any kind of, reflecting light when you're playing, there's a lot of information. Fortunately, these cards here help kind of giving you a quick overview of what all the different spells do. Because like I said, there's no way you're going to get all these into play over the course of the game, so you have to pick your colors. So for the most part, I like it. It's a little busier than I would prefer, but overall, really good components. So one of the fascinating parts of this game is the differences in the colors. So for example, which color am I going to go for first? Well, purple, if Quicken, gives me 2 extra movement points. That's pretty cool because I only get 5 per turn. Having 7 per turn is pretty neat. I think I'm going to go purple. Orange gives me stone skin. When people kill my followers, instead of them going to the general supply, they come right back to me. I'm playing some pretty aggressive people. I'll pick orange. Black. Opponents each lose 2 relics of their choosing. That's very negative. It hits everybody else. Nah, I don't think I'll do black. Red. When I attack somebody, usually when you attack someone, you get blood objects to help the red out. So actually you get more red than anything else. But this says when I attack people, I'll get my own followers. Sounds very vampirish, but all right. Green. Entangling locations slow mage's movement. I can put out different spots on the board and it slows other people. Well, that sounds jerky. and yellow, transform one type of relic to another type. I can change one color to another color. Well, that's pretty handy. So you look at these different colors, you're like, ooh, which one do I want? But see, I don't think you should start from there. I start from the big ones, like gate, immediately go anywhere on the map. Well, that's pretty awesome. That's orange and purple, and no, that's just a double one. That's a pretty good. Time stop, I get 2 actions per turn. That's orange, purple, yellow. Well, that one sounds pretty fantastic, but so does upheaval. I can move a location from one end of the map to the other. That means green, red, and yellow. So that's kind of fascinating, right? That you have these really awesome spells, but you're not going to be able to cast most of them. Now, where this does not make me as excited as I should be, like the idea sounds fascinating, it takes a ton of work to get there. You have to go and turn the relics, the cubes, the resources of different colors. You have to turn these relics into spells. So you have to go to location and get your followers out there, which gives you the small spells, and then go to other location and combine them. And yes, you can save up and do several of these actions at the same time, but it takes several turns to get to the cool spells. Okay, that's fine, but as it is, over the course of the game, you don't cast nearly as many spells as you might think you do. In fact, the main aspect of the game is running around the board, dropping as many followers off as you can, because you want to control as much as you can, and hitting up the other person, knocking their people out. So it's a very strong area control game, like I said, where you are constantly fighting back and forth. So I like the game, but I don't love it. I think the game is fine, but there's a couple reasons I wouldn't want to play it all the time. One, there's an exploration part of the game where you're like turning over tiles and finding different things. That's really neat. It's also over a few turns in the game. Everything's revealed. And having those 5 actions now just basically means run around and beat the snot out of each other's followers. I wish there was more options to that. I wish the exploration was slowed down just a little bit so it would last longer throughout the course of the game. If you're not a fan of mean, in-your-face type games, don't play this. There's no way really to play it nicely. You have to get your opponent's followers, and a good 1/3 to half of the spells are just in the other person's face, attack spells, and going to do mean things to them. Building your tower, that's a cool thing. Build the tower, and you can use it. I would need someone to explain to me why you wouldn't build the tower on your second turn at the latest. Just get that tower out there right away, because you can use it and it does so many interesting things for you. So I like the idea of the game. I just felt like it was more mundane than it looks like it. And with all these cool spells, you only see a few of them per game. Well, I mean, you might see a lot of them, but you yourself will only have a few. But all that seemed to pale besides the fact that it's just running around dropping followers off and trying to control things. Building spells, yes, those get you points. Controlling areas on the board, those give you points. In fact, there's not a whole lot of points in the game. The game plays well and it's unique. It's an interesting idea. I get what the designer is trying to do with this game. There's some cool concepts here. But at the end of the day, I'm not sure exactly how many people are going to, it's their style. How many people want to play a game with magic spells and area control? In your face attacking, but also slow, careful thought. All that sounds good, but in the mix together in the game, it comes out to be decent, interesting, but not one I want to play all the time. There's some solitaire stuff where you can play against by yourself if you want to also, I should mention that. So I didn't dislike it, but I felt like it's one that I saw, I was intrigued by, and now we move on. That's Archmage, Dice Tower Judgment, an interesting area control game.